Have you ever been on a path where you could almost feel the past under your feet? Well, today we're doing just that. We're going on a journey down a 16-mile trail in Florida that follows the ghost of an old railroad, digging up all the stories that got left behind. And this line from our Hawk, who's kind of our guide for this trip, just sets the scene perfectly, doesn't it? We're not just on some bike path. No, we are following a story that's been literally carved into the earth, a ribbon that connects right now to a past that's almost been forgotten. So, what's the story here, really? Well, it's a tale of two completely different worlds. You can see the shift right on the screen. What used to be this noisy, bustling corridor of iron, steam, citrus, and cotton is now a place of just deep, quiet beauty. It's a tunnel of green. We're going to follow our cyclist, our Hawk, as he pedals through both of these worlds, all at the same time. Okay, so our journey begins right here. Hawk pushes off from Gainesville, which is a modern college town, and almost immediately, the hum of the city just fades away. He rides right into what he calls a tunnel of green, this incredible shaded canopy of live oaks and palmettos. Now, here's where it gets interesting. One of the first big spots Hawk passes, well, it isn't actually there anymore. He's riding by the ghost of a place called Old Hammond, a railroad stop that has vanished so completely that all that's left is this little hint of a clearing in the woods. So you have to wonder, who were the people of Hammond? These weren't city folks. This little stop was absolutely vital for turpentine workers and local farmers, people who were carving a really tough living out of Florida's sandy soil. For them, the rumble of an approaching train wasn't just noise. Man, it was a lifeline. It was their connection to the entire world. And as Hawk keeps pedaling, he notices the sound has totally changed. The clatter and clang of the railroad is long gone. Instead, he hears what he calls a layered silence. It's not empty at all. It's filled with the calls of birds, the buzz of insects. It's the sound of nature taking its space back. So, coming out of that deep, layered silence of the forest, the trail leads us to another historical echo. But this one hasn't quite vanished. We're getting close to the lingering spirit of the town of Rochelle. Yeah, unlike the ghost of Hammond, Rochelle was a real, bustling little agricultural town. As Hawk rides through, he's imagining it in its heyday. And you could almost hear it, can't you? The hum of the cotton gins, the rattle of wagons pulled up by the tracks, the voices of farmers haggling over their goods. This place was the beating heart of the local farm economy. Okay, let's take a quick breath and just recap our journey so far. We kicked things off in modern Gainesville, we passed the ghost of Hammond, and we just explored the faded farm town of Rochelle. We're really tracing a path from the present, through the forgotten, and into the remembered. All right, next up, the trail takes us into a much, much wilder landscape. We're leaving the echoes of all these little towns behind and heading straight into the wetlands and prairies, where nature's story is front and center. So as Hawk crosses these wooden boardwalks over the swampy bits, he sees this really unique feature, cypress knees. And this definition just paints the perfect picture. There are these woody, knobby things rising up from the roots, and they look exactly like, as he puts it, ancient sentinels just standing guard over the water. The trail basically skirts the edge of the famous Paynes Prairie. And this timeline, wow, it just shows you how deep the history is right here. This land has seen it all. I mean, from native peoples and herds of actual bison to the settlers who rolled in on the railroad, and now to us, the cyclists and the wildlife that call it home. The railroad was really just one chapter in a very, very long book. After 16 miles, our journey on the trail is reaching its end. We've arrived at Hawthorn. This town marks the end of this particular line. But its story? Well, its story's all about endurance. So what made Hawthorn so important? It was a major crossroads. This wasn't just another stop on the line. No, this was a hub. It linked different rail lines together, and it channeled the flow of people and trade all across this part of Florida. This simple little chart just captures Hawthorn's whole story perfectly. Look at the past, a hub of high, bustling activity. And now, a much quieter pace. The town survived that massive shift. It held on to its identity, but with a new, kind of more mellow energy. So as Hawk is resting there at the end of the trail, this really powerful moment happens. He hears a faint train horn in the distance. Now, it's not from this old rail line, of course, but it's just close enough to bridge that gap between then and now. It just sparks the imagination and brings the entire history full circle. So, as we start to wrap this journey up, it's pretty clear this whole thing was about so much more than just a 16-mile bike ride, right? When you think about it, this trail is a passage right through Florida's backbone. It connects a busy modern city to forgotten stops, to old farming routes, across wild nature, and finally into a small town's quiet strength. These are the in-between places, the ones that really built the state. It's a simple, powerful fact. The old rails, they're just gone. But the story, the echo of that time, it isn't lost. Not at all. It carries forward. You can feel it embedded in the landscape itself, in the very trees that watched the whole thing happen. It lives on in the character of the towns that the railroad both created and then left behind. And you can feel it with every single turn of the pedals, in every single mile. And that really leaves us with one last thought. The Gainesville-Hawthorne Trail tells one incredible story. So the real question is, what forgotten histories are hiding in plain sight on the paths that you travel every single day?